Hello everyone and welcome back to the Off the Record podcast. As always, I am Taylor.
And I am Dan.
Indeed. Yeah, business as usual, as the last one was called. Well, same format. I don't need to introduce this every time because it's always the same format, but I feel the need to inform people that it's the same format. Yeah. That's just a normal podcast. Yeah, it's just, you don't, you know...
Tell them anyway, Tay.
Yeah.
Give them the information. Let them fucking
know.
Yeah,
we'll go through what's been happening with us, what's been happening with our businesses, and what's been going on in the world of business with some curveball type news stories thrown in just for comedic effect, because I have opinions.
He does. Lots.
Right, so Dan.
Hello.
How you been?
I've been good. Yeah, I've been good. It's been very similar... Actually, no, I haven't been away, so that's another change from the previous update. What on earth have I done? Well, I mean, everything's been pretty much go with all the stuff landing work-wise, so that's been a big feature. I've had to help my old man out with his car, bless him. Myself and his partner chipped in together and bought him a very, very nice vehicle. Well, in my opinion, a very nice vehicle, but subjective.
Did you get him his Bentley?
No, I asked him, I said I'd buy that for him a few years back, and he said no, he'd sell it and put it all on black. So that can't happen. He's a gambling addict, by the way.
My man.
Yeah, he's a fucking sausage. But no, we bought him an E350D convertible.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. And he loves it. It's his like little pride and joy and stuff, and he loves the vehicle. He looks after it properly. Problem is, he doesn't drive it enough. So the fucking battery's gone. So that was good fun. About last week, I've taken it into the garage, got the service done. He had a rip in one of the seats, that got done. Got back in the car, nothing. Like put the key in, and I mean zero, not even a just fuck all. Like, so I've gone back in the shop, went, mate, battery's gone. So he's ordered me one. Got back home. The next day, I've driven up to Oxford to come and work. I get a message from my housemate at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He's like, Dan, your dad's car's flooded. I went, what? Do you mean my fucking dad's car's flooded? He's like, oh, the window wasn't shut. Oh, fuck. The battery was so dead that when I got the car back after a half an hour drive, it couldn't do all the windows up properly. So literally, my mate managed to get a towel hooked up in there, try and dry up as much as he could. And then finally, it took another 4 days to get the battery done. But that's been... pretty much the most newsworthy stuff that I have for you. Well, there's actually a big thing, but it might take up a lot of this show. So I don't want to mention that.
Yeah. We'll mention that in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've just been binge watching Dave Ramsey, which I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, is he Financial Help Man?
Yeah. Yeah, he's basically Martin Lewis if Martin Lewis had a personality.
Jesus Christ. He's shots fired.
Martin Lewis, I respect his opinions,
yeah.
Martin Lewis. I just can't watch him. He just has no substance. Do you know what I mean?
It's annoying.
Whereas I want a rich old American man to call other Americans idiots. It's pure entertainment. Plus I'm learning stuff. It's perfect.
Love it.
So yeah, I've been trying to sort out my finances because I am awful with money, god awful. And he has a very good sort of step-by-step type thing that he calls the baby steps, which are more applicable to Americans, but you can sort of transcribe them into British stuff. And yeah, so I'm going to try and follow that and actually retain money from 1 month to the next for the first time in my life.
It's a good idea. Yeah. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, and trying to juggle that with all the other things I'm basically trying to flip my life on its head all at once. And it's becoming very apparent to me that there's a lot of changes for a person who don't like change.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sort of freaking me out a bit, but we're going. You're
getting there.
We're doing it.
Step by step.
Yeah, too right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, other than that, just trying to, fend off the impending doom of my football team.
Oh, yeah.
And playing Football Manager till I'm blue in the face to prove that I can do a better job.
God.
All I'm saying is I started one the other night, which is all the new transfers and everything. So it's the same squad he's got. I'm third in the league at the same point in the season. What do you have to say for yourself?
Oh, God, say.
Yeah, prime signing, Paulo Dybala.
Oh, that's actually a great shout, that is.
Yeah, he's a bit old, but...
Is he 33?
30.
It's fine.
He's old as fuck.
You got another 3 years out of him. You'd be fine.
Yeah, but because I didn't realise... Because obviously this is last year's, so it's the new players, but on last year's contracts and everything. And in his contract, he had a 10.25 million release clause for other European clubs outside of Italy.
Really?
Yeah, so I only paid 10.25 million for him.
Very good.
So I've now bankrupted Man United because they're broke, but we move. Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. Should we read some news?
Let's read some fucking news, Taylor. Let's go.
So, headline: Tesla shares slump after European sales fall. Shares in electric car maker Tesla have slumped more than 9% after EU and UK sales fell by almost a half in January. The drop in Tesla shares took the company's valuation below $1 trillion for the first time since November 2024. How is he going to feed his kids? Tesla has been facing stiff competition in the European market from Chinese and other manufacturers. In addition, Tesla and Elon Musk has been making controversial political waves on both sides of the Atlantic. Thoughts?
About time, yeah. That's my thoughts.
What about time that Tesla fell?
Yeah, has to. By definition, any new market, and I'm going to call the electric car market a new market, despite the fact it's been going for about 20 years since the Prius. That's a hybrid though, isn't it, the Prius? Yeah. And the problem is any single market that you ever look at, any industry, you may well get a dominant leader. And it can happen that dominant leader just stays miles ahead of the pack forever, and it never changes. And I think because you've got a man like Elon Musk at the helm, he is a man of change, and he wants to always progress, hence the whole mission to Mars malarkey. So you've got the perfect leader in a revolutionary brand, in a market space that is now part of everyday society life in the West, having a vehicle, having a car. Different countries lend themselves to different ranges. Like a 200-mile range electric vehicle is not going to fucking help you out in China much, because it's just too much driving, too much space. But yeah, I think it's about time. And it was obviously going to happen that when you've got a car brand dominating a field that is in an infrastructure that doesn't suit it, it just goes to show again how much brands now mean to people versus convenience of life. People care more about the status than having something practical, which is the same as fashion, the same as anything really. But yeah, it's just about time now, because the prices are coming down on the vehicles for these other versions like BYD. That's the biggest China brand. They've now got loads of TV ads in the UK. You might have seen them. But yeah, when brands like that are worth almost the same as Tesla, because of the volume of people in China that have been purchasing BYD for the last 15, 20 years, like they will compete and they will beat Tesla on price. It's not, they just will, because they can. And also they're government backed, they're not just privately owned or, floated. Obviously stock market investment can help you grow companies drastically, but having it like government backed, especially China with 1.2 billion citizens, they're probably going to win the race in the end if you're looking for the most dominant brand. But yeah, it makes sense. Tesla couldn't sit on that top perch forever.
Yeah, I do think almost that Elon Musk was a lot of the reason why it got to where it was, but I think he's also equally the arbiter of its downfall, if you know what I mean. Because the thing is, when a business like Tesla is so tied to its CEO, the trends of how well the brand does is directly tied to how the owner is viewed in the public eye. And Elon Musk is not a popular man at the minute. there's been a lot of things ever since that Trump rally where he did that slightly odd hand gesture, let's say, and all this stuff about him infiltrating the government and things like that, and being a bit too involved for comfort in the American political system. I think it was natural. It's also I completely concede that Tesla's the infrastructure doesn't work in this country yet, and I say yet, it will, but not yet. Excuse me. And it's far too inconvenient for the British public who champion convenience over pretty much anything most of the time. And I found out that it's incredibly expensive as well to run a Tesla. I was watching Auto Alex. He used to be on Car Throttle. Don't know if you know him. Short bloke. He bought the highest mileage Tesla in the UK, and he does things like that. And to charge it up at one of those supercharger things cost him 24 quid for 45 minutes worth of electricity, which in a brand new Tesla would say, let's say for example, get him 300 miles. I don't know if it's exactly that. It might be less, might be more. But 25 quid is just under half a tank of my car. And that would probably get me 300 miles.
Half a tank would.
Just over half. Yeah, it would. Yeah, about 250, 300 miles. So it's actually no cheaper. And that car's petrol. So it's not like it's the most economical car you could get. If I was to get a diesel, it would do a hell of a lot more than that. And it would be even less financially viable. So I always thought that the benefit of they were expensive to buy, but they were cheap to run. I thought that was the sort of point.
It was one of their selling points. So obviously the main thing was environmental friendliness.
But they're not environmentally friendly.
No, of course not.
Because you've got... The lithium has to be mined, and then it's shipped somewhere to turn it into whatever is in a battery. It's like a foam thing that they put in these batteries. Then it's shipped to the plant where the battery's manufactured. Then it's shipped to where... By the time that you've... I think who was it? A musician called C6 Steve.
Yeah, I know.
And he was on Top Gear one day, and he said, my pickup truck that does 12, 15 miles to the gallon will do less environmental impact in its life than one of those new cars cost to make in terms of environmental impact. And he's right. So, yeah, I think it's like any technology. It's in its infancy.
Yeah.
Even after 20 years. I mean, any Scottish people know what I'm on about. They're called the scamp. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
What the fuck is that?
Shall I show you?
Yeah, let's have a look at the
I'll throw a picture on screen.
I know a few scamps.
Yeah, me too. Scamp car. This. So this was
the first lucky car.
I don't know if it's the first, but it was. That's an electric car. So that's from like the 70s, I think.
That, my friend, is a souped up Brum. That's what that is.
Yeah. So they've been about, but it's in its infancy in terms of the mainstream. And it's going to take, especially this country, which is very conservative with a small c, it's going to take probably another 20 until the infrastructure... Because in order for that to be rolled out, access to electricity is going to have to be even more available than access to fuel. Because they're far less sort of... for example, I know that when I fill my car up, I am going to get between 380 and 420 miles, depending on whether I've gone long distances, short distances. That doesn't change if I put my foot down more.
What? Of course it does.
But not... Okay, yes it does. That's where the range comes from. But it's not going to use it at, say, 3 times the rate or 4 times the rate. Like an electric car, whereas if you blitz it constantly, the range, you could do 1 mile and you lose 5.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's the sort of the range is far, not range as in how far it goes, but the range of how long a charge lasts.
Impact, yeah.
Entirely is dictated on how you drive.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to hypermile.
What? What's hypermile?
Hypermiling.
Yeah, what's that?
Trying to be really, really fuel efficient.
Right. Okay.
You can't really hypermile an electric car very easily. So you can't get more out. Like if I drove that really carefully in my car, I could probably get 430, 440 miles. You're never going to get more than what it says on the screen. Do you know what I mean? My car will say I've got 325 miles on a full tank. It's more than that. It's never more than that in an electric car.
Oh, I see what you said. Right, okay. But you do understand that point you've just made there counteracts your original point about the price.
What do you mean?
Well, you said that £24 is roughly half a tank for you, but you said that was 300 miles, but it isn't. Now you're saying it's 220 miles.
220 miles, then,
So the cost is actually for you the same, almost.
That's what I said. It's no cheaper.
Oh, I see. I thought you were trying to say that now it's actually almost more.
No. It's just no cheaper. That's what I thought, because you pay for the equivalent, say like a BMW diesel versus a Tesla, you're going to pay probably 30% more for the Tesla, if not more. But it's not 30% cheap. There's no additional benefit.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
You're just paying for the name, the weird shit that's inside, which I hate personally, and the fact it's electric, which is an inconvenience. I don't see the point.
Status.
Yeah, I get that, but
there's no real point. No.
Is it really a status symbol when you have to pay a monthly fee to access some of the things in your car?
Unfortunately, mate, the answer to that question nowadays is yes. That is now
it's
part
insane
of the status.
To me. Like you can't use the autopilot thing.
Yeah.
That is technically an in-car purchase you can make. So every Tesla comes with the ability to do it.
Yeah.
But the ability to do it is locked behind a paywall.
Right. Okay.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's clever.
Frankly, fuck off.
Yeah, it's greedy business. But
if it's in there, let people use it. Do you know what I mean? They've already paid £100,000 for this car.
Yeah.
And you're skimping and say it's like they have their own Wi-Fi in the cars.
Yeah.
But you have to pay a subscription. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's in the car.
Of course.
And you've paid an extortionate amount of money for it.
Yeah.
And like that whole thing that was when they were bringing them out, that ludicrous speed.
Oh,
what? So they have like normal sport, and then they have a thing called ludicrous speed, which is like where it just fucking goes. When you see them do the drag races and they're beating like Audi R8s and stuff like, they're using that.
Right. Yeah.
That's a payment.
Is it really?
Yep.
Right,
just stupid shit like that. And I'm like, if a car comes with microtransactions like a video game, you can shove it up your ass.
Welcome to the world of capitalism.
Yeah, it is fucking ridiculous. I will never. If I find out, even BMW do it now.
Really?
On some new, I don't know if they did it for a while and there was a massive backlash. So I don't know if they still do it. But for a while, it was something like if you wanted the heated seats to work, there was a monthly fee or something like that. So it's all in there. The motor's in there, and the heater and everything like that. But it's behind a paywall. Fuck off.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not on. I'm sorry. There's certain things where, okay, video games, I kind of get it. I don't like it, and it is predatory, and I had fallen prey to it for a long time. But you're not paying 60, 70, 100,000 pounds for a video game.
No.
I don't get it, and it won't be long. I guarantee it won't be long until someone jailbreaks it. Like they used to do with iPhones, and they'll just go download this and you'll get access to everything. Yeah. And then I found out there was a guy in America, I think, who tried to do that or tried to do something to his car, and they remotely shut the car down.
Well, yeah, this was one of the big scares, wasn't it? But technically, because I remember first hearing about that with Tesla, that people could just hack into your car and control it. But then there was an article done or a study done, and by this group of hackers that have now been converted into, like so many hackers who hack big companies get employed by them, right? So they were doing this, and they were showing what you could do to a car. Mate, even my car, a 62 plate vehicle, 13, 14 years old, anybody technically can hack into that. Anything electronic on it, they can control remotely. So it's a bit of a bullshit thing of, the electric cars. I know you didn't say this. I'm not using that as a point against you, but I'm just saying the problem with the Tesla electric vehicle, that they have control over your asset that you've paid them for, is the exact same for any vehicle with electrics.
Yeah, the difference is that Tesla shut his car down. Not a hacker, Tesla. They removed access to his car, so his key didn't work.
Right.
and it was just a brick. He couldn't open it, he couldn't do it, he couldn't charge it, he couldn't do anything.
But wasn't he trying to manipulate and abuse their system?
Maybe, but it's his car. You can modify any other car.
I bet you that technically there's a T&C or terms and condition on the Tesla site that when you make your purchase, by the way, in case people don't know this, when you hand over money for a purchase, you've signed a contract. People don't realise this, but that is a contract that you've just signed. And in doing so, if you've avoided looking at any T's and C's, and then you get stung in the arse, like that Disney one that we mentioned a while back.
Where they signed over you. Yeah, where they removed the right to sue them because you had a Disney Plus subscription.
Exactly. And this is the problem. Like the information's there, it's a fair game, but it just takes so much effort to actually play that game. It's not worth it. No. We all just go, fuck that, can't be asked. But there probably is a fruitcake out there, a Martin Lewis of the world, that will check every terms and condition to make sure he's safe. But yeah, I morally don't like it. I'm on your side.
No, I will never own a Tesla. I can say that with confidence. I don't support the bloke who figureheads it. I don't like the product. I don't think they're particularly special in any way. All the stuff that people see as benefits, I think, are gimmicks. You know, people will show you these things. You know, oh look, I can make my car look like it's on Mars. So fucking what?
What, is that a real thing?
Yeah, you can change the, like, on your sat-nav screen,
right,
to make it look like you're on Mars and stuff.
You've
and there's a warp speed feature, and there's a celebration mode where it flaps the doors and stuff like that. Gimmicks. Who fucking cares? Give me a better car and don't be a dick about it. Frankly.
I like it. Well,
and you know, the batteries that last
8 years roughly. Well, it's not even 8. It's not year based, is it? It depends on usage.
Yeah, it's mileage and charges and all that sort. It's the same as any battery,
of course.
But it's you know, if the fuel tank was to break on my Swift that I have, it cost me probably 150 quid. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't cost me £30,000.
No, of course
enough said to me. Right.
Yeah. Cheers, Elon.
Enough about that.
Elon's been put to rights. Let's move on with the rest of the world.
Piss me off now. Now, Dan.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Theranos?
I have, mate, yeah.
Is it because I told you to look at it yesterday?
It might well be. No, I had heard of them before, but I couldn't remember what the brand name was. Now I know exactly what it is.
So for those who don't know, this was an American thing in 2014 where this woman called Elizabeth Holmes came out and said that she had invented a way of testing blood with just one drop of blood. That was the whole marketing thing. Yeah. It was a tiny amount of blood, and it was cheaper, it was safer, it was, you know,
quicker,
less invasive, quicker, all this sort of thing. And it blew up. It was everywhere in the world of sort of technology. She got backing from some big name players like to fund this thing, because of course it's going to be an amazing thing. And I think at peak the business was valued at $9 billion, something like that, because they'd never produced anything. This is just on the concept
of tech.
Yeah, they produced one prototype, which they claimed worked. Turns out it was fake. And basically the whole thing was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Complete bullshit. Like it is probably the greatest scam in history.
Ooh, it's up there.
It's by a single person, you know, not as a concept, but by a single person.
Just going to chuck it out there. I think whatever fella wrote the first Bible, I reckon he's up there.
That's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one.
Sorry.
It's like a me joke. You're learning.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, basically, it's been in the news this week that she got a lot of charges, let's just say. The main one being fraud.
Yeah.
And she was sentenced to 11 years.
11 years,
something like that. Yeah. And so she's been appealing it ever since. And she just lost her appeal.
Yep.
So she was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison. In her appeal, she challenged trial evidence and testimony and argued that statements by her ex-business and romantic partner, Ramesh Sunny Balwani, about his level of responsibility for Theranos' financial model should have been included. He was jailed for more than 12 years.
What?
The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected the arguments. Judge Jacqueline Gwynne wrote that Theranos' claim of being able to run blood tests with a drop from a single finger prick instead of a needle in the vein was nothing more than a mirage. Yeah, she was convicted in 2022. So fucking hell, that was a long old court process. This was 2014 this happened.
Yeah.
Holmes was convicted in 2022 of conspiracy and multiple charges of wire fraud for misleading investors over the company's financial health and the effectiveness of its technology. In the appeal, both challenged a court order to pay £358 million in restitution to victims, which the court upheld.
Good.
Fucking hell.
I'll tell you something for nothing, Taylor, and this is for free, mate. That is the definition of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You're not going to get better than that. Fair. I mean, look, what she's done is wrong. No questions asked. Do I think that people that are in big business already around the world, I mean, we could just look at the fucking Oxycontin guys, like the pharma fucking trade that is just abuse, basically. Like, what's worse? This is the predicament. You end up trying to like pin it up against something to see how severely disappointed you are in her actions. And the truth is, what she's done's fucking wrong. What she's also done there is genius. If you can try and strip away the emotional bit, and you know she's fucking hoodwinked everybody, I get it. It's wrong and it's just disgusting. But fair fucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she's defrauded anyone who couldn't afford to be defrauded. Do you know what I mean? I know it doesn't take away from it, but like, for example, what the pharmaceutical companies do on a day-to-day basis is far worse than what she's done.
Literally.
Yeah. Like, I saw in the news, I was watching, it was a show from America where this old fella had rung up, and basically one of the things that Trump signed on it seems to be about Trump a lot, but one of the executive orders that Trump signed on his first day in office was the rescinding Medicaid and Medicare, which basically was a government-backed thing that was set up by Obama that reduced the prices of everyday medicine, for example. And one of the things that Biden made sure to uphold was insulin being capped at, I think, $9 a month for elderly people. So for seniors, over 55s, I think it was. And this guy rang up and said, I'm a diabetic. I've been a diabetic my whole life. I went to pick up my prescription last month and it cost me $6. I went back the first week of Trump's presidency and it's now $80.
Oh my God.
In 1 week. Just one executive order has cost this poor old fella who's a veteran, who was on disability benefit from serving his country, the same government that's now done this to him. It cost him $74 extra for no benefit.
Welcome to capitalism again.
So that, I think that's why there was such a public. I mean, this has taken a swift left turn, but this is why there was such public support for that Luigi guy who shot that United Healthcare CEO. Now it's murder, but you think that's why I think the public backed him. Like, he became like a sort of everyday icon for a little while, didn't he? Like,
he served justice.
Yeah,
not
vigilante justice.
I do want to stress, I'm not condoning what he did, but he did technically, and I guess in most of the public's eyes, served justice.
For legal reasons, I'm not condoning it either. And you saw how much they shit themselves, because I told Dan at the time, because I listened to the news and he doesn't. Every single American healthcare company removed their CEO's information page.
Yeah.
It just sort of, so there was like I think that was the closest thing to like a revolution that Americans had in a long time. Do you know what I mean? It was like, no, hang on a minute, we're not putting up with it. It was like that bloke, he was I can't remember his name, but he was like, he's known as the most evil man in history. And he was the guy who owned the patents to a load of medications that helped with cancer. Right, and he raised them from like in 2-digit numbers to like 4-digit numbers for no reason other than greed.
Yeah.
It's just, Oh, sorry, this is just reminding me of different things.
You're like a fucking pinball machine today, Taylor.
ADHD, mate.
Yeah.
I was watching. There's a guy online who he's called Pirate Software. This isn't related to who he is, but he's a programmer. And he was explaining, because I didn't really understand how the American, the health insurance type thing, I didn't understand how it worked. And he said he was in hospital for a hospital stay. I think it was overnight, and it came to $68,000, basically. And he got the bill through. Now, he's got very good health insurance. And it came through, and on the bill, it said insurance payout $17,900 and something dollars. And he's gone, fuck.
So you want me to stump up 50K?
There's $51,000 that are just unaccounted for. It's not. So what happened was the claim was put into the insurance company. The insurance company looked at it, went, we're not paying for most of this, and paid $17,000. And the hospital writes the rest off as a loss so they can claim it on their taxes.
Genuinely?
Genuinely. That's how the American... So the hospitals don't pay tax, effectively.
Just write off fucking...
Because they just write off these massively inflated charges as losses.
That's mental.
Like, the system is so broken. Like, it just... Like, people say the NHS is dysfunctional, and yes, it is to an extent. Yeah. But Jesus, it's more organised than that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's well organised. It's fucking weird.
It just seems like it's a loophole of a loophole of a loophole of a loophole. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? America confuses me, man. Because there's probably no country on earth I'd more like to live in than America. But equally, there's no country I'd least like to live in than America for very different reasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the culture of America quite a lot. And I like, I like it as a country, but there's so many intricacies of living there that just would put me off, unless I'm like a multi-millionaire.
That's the thing. If you want to go to the most capitalistic country in the world, you need to live it, breathe it, become it.
Yeah.
I've told you before, I've got family. Well, I don't. Yeah, I call it family for argument's sake. I've got family over there.
Yeah, same.
And they explained to me why they chose to purchase where they purchased in New Jersey. And this guy, he's got 2 kids, and he wanted to give his family a safe environment, but a luxurious one. Mm-hmm. So he picked out the fucking most expensive, lowest crime rate postcode. And that's why he chose to live where he lives. Do you know what the land tax is? So, but 2 seconds. The property cost him $1.2 million back in 2009 or 2010. Jesus, that must be a big house. It is a big house. Okay, it's lovely. It is in a fucking incredible area. He lives down the road from Nixon's ex-wife. And he lives down the road from the guy that owns the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, right? Yeah. Owned, mate. Yeah. So, ridiculous. So, for that property, let's just say he's got the equivalent of 3 acres, roughly. It's not huge land. It's not Texas land. It's not a farm. What do you reckon his annual land tax is?
I dread to think.
I'll tell you. $50,000. Before that man lifts a finger at the beginning of January the 1st, every fucking year, until December 31st, he has to make a minimum of $250,000 to live. To live the way in which his life is now set out, right? Fair fucks to the guy, because that is his interest, and that's the beauty of subjectivity. No one's right or wrong. He's just gone to live a life in the way that he sees fit to give his family the best opportunity and the best existence. And if that is what's driven him to get to that point, who the fuck am I to have a judgment? But the bit I do have a judgment on is I reckon there's about another 20,000 postcode areas where they'd be equally as safe, not have to pay 50k of land tax, because the land tax is different from state to state to state. So California, one of the worst states for land tax. New York, one of the worst states. It's crazy. We've gone way off.
California doesn't have income tax.
Have they taken that out now?
No, it hasn't been there for a while.
Really?
They don't do income tax in America. Not in America, in California specifically.
But the tax and everything else is mental.
Yeah, the sales tax. Sales tax is enormous. Like, why don't you put it on the fucking prices, you prick? I went to America once, I bought something, and it was about $8 more than what I picked up, and it was only like a $10, $15 thing. And I was like, hang on a minute, it said like $15 on the thing. Why is it $25 all of a sudden?
Because you pay tax at the
sales tax, man. Yeah. I'm like, just put it in the price originally.
Yeah, of course.
Like we do.
Yeah.
There's like one of the big things. There's this guy I watch on TikTok who's an American who's just moved here, and he goes through all the things that he finds amazing. He was like, I can't believe that the price you see on a product is the price you pay at the till. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Of course it is. No, not over there. It's not.
No.
Yeah, it's Matt. That country is insane. Like unless you can like your family's done. Like you and my uncle sort of switches between San Francisco and Honolulu, so he lives in California or Hawaii. Uncle Rich, please just talk to me. He didn't reply to my. He didn't reply. I want a holiday, man.
Where the fuck is this going from?
Me and my brother have both reached out to him, and he ignored us.
It's turned into a cry for help. Sorry, that's really fucking got me. Uncle Rich, please talk to me. What do you mean?
Right, context, fine.
Gosh,
I've never met him.
so good.
I've never met him, so he's technically my half uncle sort of thing. He's like
Wait a minute, whether you've met him or not doesn't change the biological situation, does
no,
it?
yeah.
What's going on?
He basically he lived with his mum, who is my granddad's ex-wife.
Right. Okay.
We're only related through him.
Yeah.
And she remarried a guy who was an American in the American Army, effectively. So he was like back and forth all over the place, and then they settled in America. Right. So, but this is obviously way before I was born. This is all when he was a kid. So even my mum is his half brother, and she hasn't spoken to him.
I hope your mum isn't his half brother. I hope it's his half sister.
You know what I mean? He's my mum's half brother, and yeah, she hasn't spoken to him for like 20, 25 years. Like, but my brother reached out to him
for a free holiday.
And no, not a free holiday. It was just like, because we genuinely want to meet him, because he's lived such a different life to us, even though we're blood related. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The only confusion is he's got a daughter called Kayla, and he's got the same surname as me. So you can see that, yeah. So there's Kayla and Taylor Simpson.
I like that.
Yeah.
How have we gone so?
Yeah, I know. We were talking about Theranos.
Yeah, Theranos just slaughtering the states.
Yeah, I think it's. I would love to live there at some point in my life.
Yeah,
but yeah, there would be so many things, because you would have to get like. Just everything's expensive, man. I was watching Dave Ramsey, right, and he goes through people. He'll run through how to get rid of people's debt, and he'll say how much do you earn, how much do you spend on this. The average number I've seen for food shopping for a month.
What, in America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The average. So this could be someone who lives on their own. So families, obviously, it's more for family. It's about $500.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Which is 350 quid, by the way.
Yeah, £350 a month just on food. It's insanely expensive over there.
I know they got way higher pay, but still.
But it's not that much higher.
Average salary in the States is like $52,000.
Yeah, which equates to what?
40, at the moment, 40 grand.
Yeah, average here is 37.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I looked it up this morning.
Oh, right, okay, so it is similar then.
Yeah, £37,000 here.
Because you know what UPS did about a year ago, 2 years ago?
No.
UPS now pay even the lowest worker this like minimum average. It's $110,000.
Yeah.
What? Why is someone dropping a parcel off getting 110 grand? The fuck happened to the bin men? Like the bin men's job is way more important than delivering a bloody parcel.
Sorry, bin men in America earn fucking mint.
It's about 70k.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit more than that as well now.
Really?
Yeah, they earn fucking bank.
Bloody hell. It's fucking nuts.
But yeah, it's just it's completely financially unviable, and I can see why people are in so much debt. And the fucking we're going on about America now. I'm doing it because it's a fucking clapped country.
What the fuck?
The student loans, right? I was watching this video, and this woman was quite visibly upset. She was probably in her mid-30s. And she said, I took out an $80,000 loan federal loan, so government loan, which is how they do it in America. There are companies that do it, but it's the same as here, where you borrow it from the government. And she said, I've been paying $500 a month since I left school. So that's what, 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there. $500 a month, £80,000 loan. It's now at 76. She's paid $120,000 in interest. Madness.
What's the same as any mortgage over here?
No.
Trust me, it is, because my 200 grand flat on the mortgage documents, if I was to pay that mortgage until it's dead, that flat will cost me £396,000, my friend.
Yeah, but
That's
you've
interest.
got a house at the end of it.
Oh, 100%, and she's got an education that could possibly acquire her 250 grand a year in salary. It's the same investment.
But it's a bit more of a dice roll, isn't it, than buying a house, for example.
You've got to put more effort in.
But yeah, just that I found that insane. Like,
it's mad.
There was another one where they couldn't pay for a year, and this was on a big one. I think it was $190,000 loan. And in a year of 1 year, so it's not like your sort of 12, 13, 14 year, it went from 190,000 to 265,000.
In a year?
In a year. It is predatory. It is ridiculous. The fact that the government tries to claim that they're for the people, they can shove it up their fucking ass. They don't give a shit. I don't understand it. Let's find something else to talk about before I end it all.
Oh, God. Yeah, he doesn't like it, does he? He's very to and fro mood today, Taylor. Yeah. We're getting excited about bits, getting disappointed about bits.
Yeah, but the thing is, that I still have this sort of innate draw to want to live in America.
Same.
Do you know what I mean? I love the American culture of the people. Do you know what I mean? The people in America, I think, are fucking class. Yeah. But yeah, there's just so many things that would not allow me to do it. Like financially, mentally, like. Yeah, you
gotta. Well, yeah. If that's your objective, you got to put all your ducks in a row and make sure you've got everything planned to execute. But
Anyway,
what we got now?
Households are being encouraged to consider a fixed price deal on their energy bills by the regulator ahead of costs rising again in April. Ofgem is increasing the energy price cap by 6.4%, meaning a household using a typical amount of gas and electricity will see their bills rise by £111 a year. The cap, which is set every 3 months and limits the amounts suppliers can charge for each unit of energy, which affects 22 million homes in England, Wales and Scotland. Ofgem said switching to a fixed tariff provided certainty over payments and could reduce costs, although analysts predict price could fall in July.
Yeah. Because I read that article. What was your thinking around it?
What my thinking is why, if this is government regulated, which it is, the price cap is government regulated, what it can go up and down by.
Yeah.
Why, if the businesses are making ungodly profit margins, is the cap allowed to go up? Because that naturally only affects the people who can already struggle to afford it. The people who can pay it easily doesn't fucking affect them. They don't care, do they?
No.
So what I don't understand why it's so weighted towards. I mean, this is fucking hell. We're going to go on a political rant again now. This is supposed to be a Labour government. Labour was set up to represent the working man or working person. You know that's what the Labour. That it was the antithesis of the Conservatives, which was for high society, big business. That was their thing because England's a bank. Yeah. So stuff like this, like I'll use my mum for an example. She nearly had a mental breakdown just after COVID when there was that price hike. Yeah. Do you remember where it was looking like it was going to be £4,000 a year and stuff like that? She can't afford that. She's a single mum, and it's only through me and my other older brother, not the brother that's younger than me but older than the other one. My family's confusing, man.
You're confusing.
Yeah, I am, yeah. Me and my younger brother.
Yeah.
There we go.
My younger brother and I, but that's not about that.
Shut up, Dan. It's only through that she can afford to live in her house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because effectively, I live in a little shoebox in the garden, and I pay her bills. Effectively, that's my rent. And it's fucking expensive, man. And it's not like it's a big-ish house, but it's not enormous. It's 3-bedroom, semi-detached, like a very sort of everyday. It used to be a council house when it was built back in the 50s. It was a council house. And yeah, it would just... I don't understand, because it's only going to impact people like that. So I don't see the benefit to that. You know, I understand that the profit margin, but it's not even like it's an inflationary rise, because inflation wasn't 6.4% this year. It was in the 3s, wasn't it?
Roughly, yeah. About 4%, I think.
4%. So yeah, they're raising it by 6.4%, which is over inflation. So therefore, the people who are paying are worse off immediately.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of information that is being missed here. I would just say that. Until the Russia-Ukraine war, I believe we got something like 70% of our energy from Russia, right? Roughly. It was something ridiculous what they were feeding to the UK.
I don't think it was that high, because a lot of it came from Norway, didn't it?
I think the Norway power was it had to go through Norway from Russia to us.
No, because the national gas reserve, the natural gas reserves that they were tapping were Norwegian owned.
Right. Okay.
So I know that. So I'd be surprised if it was that high. But carry on.
All I know is there was a large percentage of the UK energy was being provided by Russia. When a war happens, and politically the UK stance is let's protect the defendant, Ukraine. We now have a commercial and a moral issue on our hands of, well, can we keep getting a benefit from the nation that we're now technically funding a war against? And it's a huge conundrum. There was a lot of... Oh, hello. Sorry, just had a delivery guy come in. 2 seconds. Oh, let's pause this. Hello?
Hello, bro. Can you open the back?
Yeah, man, yeah, you can ring the door. Yeah, we'll go.
I wanted to come here, show.
Let's go. We're in the middle of it. There you go, people. One of the joys of doing a podcast in a warehouse that receives deliveries all day is that you get a DPD driver turning up, not giving a fuck as to what people are doing within their place of work, waltz into the office when they're supposed to ring a button on the fucking shutter door, and then say, no, I didn't want to press the button. I wanted to come in here and shout. Wow. Knobhead. Anyway, let's carry on. So, the Russia situation, there's too much information here, and there's too many emotions on the side of the people that are suffering. This is the problem, and it can't then be rationally and logically approached. The price is way too high. Of course it is. Definitively. The problem is, and again, I'll keep saying it and people get sick to death of hearing it, in a capitalist society where the objective is to make money, that is what people will do. And until we create solutions as individuals that protect us against big corporations, we can't keep fucking moaning. Do something about it is the point. I'm not saying that I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with it. But then we need to take action. So what can we do as individuals?
I would argue that the British public did take action when they voted out the Conservative government.
That's got
within reason. That's all they can do without a mob uprising and stuff like that. I think that voting in a Labour government, which is supposed to benefit the everyday person, that's the point of a Labour fucking government.
Yeah, but it's not done anything for the last 40 years.
No, I know it hasn't.
So
but
why do we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results? That's the definition of insanity.
I know it is, Dan. I know it is, but what realistically, what can the everyone? Because it's not gonna result in a revolution. We're not the French. Do you know what I mean? The French are fucking class at this, and I will give them credit.
Yeah.
When something they don't like happens, they will wreck their country.
You do something about it.
And I fucking rate it.
Yeah.
They introduced speed cameras. They lasted 2 weeks until every single one was destroyed.
Right.
Last year, they tried to raise the age that you got the state pension or something like that,
Right.
and there was fucking riots in every city.
Right, yeah.
Rate it. I fucking rate that, France.
Well,
I know
there
I
you
took
go.
the piss out of you the other week, but fucking hell, fair play.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
But
They're
the
doing
British,
something.
but the British public are too stiff upper lip and fucking conservative to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's,
I don't care.
they are. That's the thing. They are naturally.
The people with a stiff upper lip have got the problem then.
100%. But
It's
that
a
doesn't mean
conundrum.
that then the government should feel obligated or feel able to exploit that.
No, of course not.
But that's what it
course not.
feels like they're doing. I've got no proof that they're doing that. But do
It
you know what I mean?
seems it,
It
of course.
feels like it's harder and harder and harder. Well, it's provably harder to live in this country now than it was 40 years ago that you were just on about.
I have a weird theory on that.
Oh, God, here we go.
Well, but the thing is, this is my predicament with the vast majority of society, right? And I'm not pointing fingers at any individual here. I'm pointing a finger at an outlook. An outlook is a lot of us, including me, feel a lot more comfortable in the position of I'm helpless. There's the fucking problem. That's how all of humans feel more comfortable, because the alternative is getting up and doing something that you don't really want to do. Everybody just wants a convenient and comfortable life without putting effort in. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, and I would like to say ever, it's never been an option, really. If you want a truly comfortable and satisfactory life from a financial perspective, in this society it demands extra. An extra, I don't know how to define that, but it's just more of everything. So the conundrum comes here, where you can either keep saying it's out of my control or take control. Now, if there's that many people that are unhappy with a situation, they don't like it, the French have proven it. If that's the solution, then people need to communicate, create some sort of organisation. I don't mean a company, but as in organise the people, and then do something. But just to say that it's unacceptable, of course it's unacceptable. The predicament comes here, right? You know, the fact it was someone who had a standard salary back in, say, 1960, 1970. They could buy a house, feed a family on one salary, right? Because inflation's changed shit. Very true. There is another factor that has changed drastically in that time frame. And the main thing is that now there is more distraction, there's more to acquire. The whole of society revolves around, say, television and media, pretty much. If that keeps showing you luxury, 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 you end up normalising it. And it means that the average Joe, me included, this is not me pointing at people, the average Joe goes, I want this luxury item, be it a Tesla, be it an Apple iPhone, be it a Mac, be it a fucking item of clothing. We all want shit because we've seen somebody else have it. And it's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks, right? It's all psychological nonsense that we distract ourselves with uncontrollably, right? But if you take the time to look at it and really think and break it down, if people stopped buying, and I know you made this argument the other week about the Costas, I hate that argument. As someone that lived off of £20 a week food for 3 years, I hate the argument, oh, it's only $3.50 for a Costa. No, that $3.50, do it 3 times, what you at? And now you can just keep going with this argument that these little spends people try to ignore. My brother has the attitude of, yeah, but it's just a coffee. I don't have that attitude. Look at the two individuals and the two financial situations. They are contrast. And it's because of an outlook. What I'm not saying is that the coffee caused the problem, but I'm saying regular and consistent bad purchasing decisions hinder financial situations by definition. You get X in and there's X to go out. If you don't protect the what's going out bit, then there's a problem. And it just is a factual thing. The problem is that even me, I'm not great with money. Like, I've not got much savings in my bank at the moment. And it's because I've spent. But I'm well aware of what's triggered it. It's me buying shit I don't need to buy. It's me spending it on fun things that aren't actually that fun. It's just a distraction for 2 hours. And this, unfortunately, is where society's got to. There are now 50 times the amount of things that you could distract yourself with than what there were in the 60s and 70s. There is still a disparity in the prices. I'm not disputing the disparity, by the way. The facts are the facts. But you're in a much better position when you take ownership than when you try and pass that on. Accepting responsibility for what you can do for you is the best way of getting solutions. Looking at other people and thinking, why is there not help here? There won't be it. Don't anticipate help. Don't expect help. Don't think a government's going to do anything. You need to do it for you. That is my honest belief. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to get up and start their own business, because that's crazy. You're going to have too many failure rates. But just, taking action. That's the only answer. That's the only answer. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not condoning what these multi-billionaires are doing to the society. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I'm completely against capitalism. Therefore, this price hike, I don't like it. But because I chose to do that 2-hour lesson at AS Politics, right, and I left it and I quit the course, I'm to blame now for my political outcome. Because I didn't try and make an actual difference, i.e. go and create law, change regulations. If you don't try and make that bit of difference, you can't point the finger. You can only ever point it at yourself. Is my opinion on this. It's like, and it's I think it's the healthiest way to be, because otherwise you're relying on other people. Don't be reliant on other people. Fuck me. Then you're going to have problems that you can't fix. This is the conundrum from my perspective, and it is. I think society within the human race has kind of built this to a point. Evolution's brought us here, where we all think naturally as animals, and a group of animals, that we're safer in a mass number. Hence why, we've got 70 million people here, 380 million people in America, and we think there's safety in numbers. And it's kind of removed that sense of, I need to fend for myself. It's reduced that, because you can live off the benefit system, because you can live with other people's work. Yeah, you can, if that's your choice. Go and do that. I don't care personally, but I just have an issue when it's constantly about, I guess, the negatives, without there ever being a conversation of solution. Do you see where my conundrum comes in there?
Yes.
I find it frustrating hearing other people's frustrations, because it's just non-stop. All I hear is negative everywhere. And I don't mean from you at all. I mean from the news. I'm on about the news. It's just pumping, these people aren't happy. These people aren't happy. Fuck me. What have they done about it? I don't know.
I think they have a right to be unhappy when you compare societal norms of, say, their parents' generation to the societal norms that they're dealing with now. That doesn't mean that they're unhappy in their lives. They're unhappy with the situation that the country they live in and are born in and are obligated to contribute towards, let's say, are fucking them. And it's true. I don't think... I see what you're saying, and I understand that people can take control of their own lives and push forward and do more and stuff like that. But that shouldn't be the only choice they have to live a normal, in quotation marks, life. People that we're talking about of our parents' generation weren't obligated to have to drive on, and they could work a normal job and live a normal life. It's nothing extravagant. It's nothing like that. But I fundamentally disagree with you on the fact that luxuries are preventing people from doing that. Because I could live in a bubble and spend absolutely no money for the next 20 years. Yeah. And then I would finally have what the average house price is in this country. Mm-hmm. When my grandparents bought their house, or my parents bought their house, it was on average about between 5 and 8 times the median annual wage to house price was between 5 and 8, depending on the generation and sort of where you were. Yeah. It's now about 20 times. So fundamentally, it's owning a house to someone my age on my own, which is what, for example, my dad owns his own house on his own. He's never had a wife. He's never been married. Wishes he never had a kid, but that's unrelated. And he's a bricklayer, so he is the definition of a working class bloke.
Yes, but more than minimum wage.
He's managed to pay his own way. He pays. He managed to get a mortgage. He's paid it every whatever. He runs his own life on his single wage. Yep. I couldn't get a mortgage now. No. Not, and this, I'm talking specifically about full house ownership, because I know what people will say. They'll say that, this person managed to get a mortgage. Well, my son managed to get a mortgage. Yeah, he owns 30% of his house, and he will probably never own all of it. No. It will just... so the conglomerate that's bought it will just retain ownership of it, and then when this person dies or sells it, they'll just sell another 30% of it. And it's bullshit. And there's no way that you can say it's affordable because you're not owning the house. You don't own the house. You know, the point of owning a house is that eventually you will no longer be paying for that house. Yeah. If they retain that 30% ownership, which is what my brother did, so I have experience in, you know, hearing about how this process works. Yeah. You will still be paying for that house when you're in your 90s unless the circumstances change. The fact that a lot of young people in this country have to wait until their parents die in order to be able to own a house is absolutely ridiculous.
It's that you've used a specific set of words there that, again, they're just literally not correct.
Go on.
You said it's ridiculous that people of our generation, young adults, have to wait. That's the bit I can't handle. It's bullshit that I have to wait until a parent's dead.
Well, what do you mean? Say everyone.
No. What I'm getting at there is your own actions are what you're responsible for. My brother and I have come from a situation where there was a house completely owned in Spain by my mum, and she only got that because her parents died, is the truth. She bought her first flat, which was a shitty 1-bedroom, and I mean it was awful, in the centre of Bournemouth town, that people now go, oh, I can't live there. That's the problem. Like, there are options and opportunities for people, but the minimum standard that's expected now is more than what it should be. Like, my brother's going, oh, well, I need to get a place to rent, but I need to get a 3-bedroom house so I can have friends stay over, I can have a garden for my dog. But if the salary doesn't align for that desire, then forget your desire. Scrap it off, mate, because it's never going to happen.
I do get that, I promise you.
Another thing I don't like is that we always compare a standard of living in the UK to someone else in the UK. Forget that. So, for example, like, when I think about the standard of living, I go from the very worst situation, complete poverty, 6-year-old African child that has no parents, I go to that. That for me is my lowest of low, because it exists. I know you don't want to, but then all I would say is, what are you looking for as a solution? If by having that as your bare minimum, it means that you don't want for excess.
I get you.
That's what I'm saying.
I do get you, but it's contextual.
In what sense?
In what I'm talking about. I'm never going to be a poverty-stricken African child. It's never going to happen. So in the context of my life, that isn't the baseline, because it's not a reality.
Well, the reality is you can move. No one said that you'd have to live in Oxfordshire, mate. If you want to live in Scotland and pay 78 grand for your house, you can do it. We're moaning about choices.
But we can talk about extremes. This is the thing. You can relate anything to an extreme. Do you know what I mean? But it's not. I'm talking about the consensus of the situation that we're in. You know, I know I keep going back to it, but I'm going to keep going back to it. My grandparents didn't have to think, yeah, but there's an African child. They could just buy a house.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like...
Why is it your God-given right to be in the same situation as your grandparents?
I'm not saying it's my God-given right to be anything, but...
Then let's just crack on.
but this is the thing...
I hear you, Tay. I do hear it, and I understand what you're voicing is the norm. I understand what I'm voicing is the abnormality of the whole situation. And it's a very, very almost confrontational viewpoint that I hold. But it's intentional. It is intentional, and it's not to offend. It's just because you create your own parameters, not you, everyone. You create your own boundaries and levels of what is doable. It's when you create it and whether you set on that and you say it's set in stone, that's my standard, that is where I'm living to, there's nothing that can change it. That's then created the problem and the lack of opportunities. What I'm saying when I mention moving 200 miles up north because you can then afford a house there, why is that something that you shouldn't have to do? You know, the alternative is, I guess it's try and find a way of what set of actions would have led me to $100 grand a year salary. Then the problem of housing being too expensive is no longer a problem. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to have chosen the career path you've chosen, but you would then be wrong to look at that career path and then expect something else. That's where the wrong bit comes in. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I do understand what you we come at this at obviously a very, very different angle. But okay. It seems like I'm going around in circles now, but it would... Okay, right. How do I word this without just setting you off again?
Set me off.
Okay. So you say about moving up north and stuff like that.
Yep.
that is a choice that wouldn't have had to have been made by any previous generation, because the ability to own property and stuff like that wasn't seen as a luxury. It was seen as a right. And yes, it's really difficult to word it because it sounds like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
But when my generation shouldn't have to, because of things that are out of our control, okay? We've been born into a situation where the average wage, which by definition, the majority of people are within the parameters of an average wage.
Sure.
I think that I know you say that you're an average guy, but I don't think you are. Not in terms of monetarily,
Of course not.
but in terms of life experience. Because obviously you set this business up when you were 17.
Yes.
So you had, and this isn't, I'm not trying to have a dig,
No,
but
I'll take it.
it's not, you haven't had an extended period of a normal sort of
Earnings.
job, sort of
Income.
just a working class life under the employment of someone else.
No.
Let's say that. So I think that the ability you've had, and I'm not saying it was easy to begin with,
No, of course.
but the situation you find yourself in now,
is very comfortable.
yeah,
Incredibly
doesn't lend itself to needing to think that the wage that you earn is never going to get you a house. Do you know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
And I think that's why your
Very.
views on it are very similar to the previous generations, because you found yourself in at a relatively young age a place where the previous generation were, where you can buy a house. You have the ability to own a house and things like that without it. And I'm not saying you haven't worked for it. I'm not saying that it's exceptional circumstances, I think, personally. For our generation to have done as well as you did as young as you have, you are effectively a unicorn.
An abnormality, 100%.
Yeah. And that's why I think that, I would say, I don't have any evidence to back this up, that more people of our generation would agree with me
Of course.
than with you. That's not to say that that's correct.
No.
And I'm not trying to score points.
You are right in what you've just said. More people would agree with you than me.
Yeah.
But it's the why that's important.
I get it. I do get it.
Yeah.
But I think that...
Can I paint a mini picture for
Go on.
you? So at 17, when we set this up, I was at college, living in a flat in Boscombe above KFC on benefits. The rent was paid through my father through benefits, right? I made the choice because genuinely in my head, I know I do look at life differently to the average person, and I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying it's different, right? That's true. I made the choice to quit my college life, to move 100 miles away from my social circle, my family, everything, to live above a shop on a blow-up bed with no heating in the middle of winter, right? For 6 months I lived above that shop, and then I moved into a shared house. I lived in basically a one-bedroom fucking situation for about 18 months. So I made two choices there that are not great choices to make. There was no fun, there was no luxury in me choosing that path. And I had to get up every day, regardless. I didn't miss a single day of work at 6 days a week for 3 years. It's those choices that I'm talking about, where I didn't know that choice would deliver me luxury. I didn't know that choice would deliver me financial freedom. I just hoped that by making as many positive choices, hard, undesired choices, I didn't want to be working. I didn't want to be doing anything that, all my mates were going off on fucking gap years. They're going to festivals. I've never been to a festival. So I've lost loads of luxuries, I don't think I have personally. I've made a set of choices that have delivered me to this specific outcome. What I'm saying is, you can't just rinse and repeat my exact choices. But every scenario or situation that people are in is because of a set of choices. People need to be responsible for those and be realistic as to what the outcome would be. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me ask you, playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Do you think that, let's say, 100 people did what you did?
Yeah.
Would 100 people end up in your position?
If they did exactly each step and made each choice, yes.
If they all did it for different, because I think that even you would agree that you made the right choices at particularly the correct time.
Correct. Yeah.
And whether through information or through, I would say it is a little bit of luck.
Huge luck. Huge.
Okay, let me change it then. If someone made the choices you made now, would they come out with the same?
Depending on what the industry and the context is, what I'm saying is making the choice of sacrifice, i.e., so because I had no income, like I paying myself £600 a month to live above that shop, and I had my fucking car insurance, my fuel, my tax, like I had all roughly the same sort of overheads, but no rent to pay, very luckily, because I lived in a situation that I shouldn't have lived in. But that's what I'm saying. It's just about being responsible for making lots of choices and then being understanding before you make it what realistically will happen as an outcome off the back of this choice. One thing I've never claimed to be is a genius. Another thing I never claimed to be is someone that saw this level of the vaping industry existing. I didn't know it would get to this scale, but I looked at the statistics and logic made sense in my head that it could become humongous because of the volume of smokers and the addiction and how it's killing people, and that needs to change. So I made choices, yeah. If you ask me now, if somebody tried to set up a vaping business in another town, would they be able to make a living like I have out of it? I would argue no, because the industry's changed and regulations have changed and demand for it's changed. But if you asked me, what if somebody found the equivalent of vaping and they made the equivalent choices? Then the answer would be yes, I think they would get to a similar, if not the same place.
Okay.
I honestly believe that.
Here's another hypothetical then. Let's say we flip the script and 99% of people did what you did.
Right.
In order to make those changes to their lives like you're talking about, would society maintain?
The predicament is of subjectivity of interest. So because everybody has different interests, mine was in the general matter of commerce. Like I was buying and selling things at school. So that fitted my niche. So the point being, could everybody get to 100k a year salary? Yes. I believe it's actually plausible and there's good logic for this. Because money in and of itself is not a thing, the idea of salary positions becoming available that are way, way higher than they are, of course it's plausible. Because the government are just printing more money when the fuck they like. So the idea of being that there has to be 40 million positions in careers that are very, very low paying, and then you need to have 10 million that are of the higher echelon. Yes, society seems to be driven towards that way. But if everybody started making different actions, the infrastructure around them would change. So I think that people would become, say, graphic designers. So rather than making the choice of buying or setting up a retail business, the people that are into design, they'll go and become graphic designers. And if they make lots of choices to put themselves in the right position to then say, my skill set is worth 75 grand a year, which, by the way, is 1.5 times more than I pay myself and ever have done. Like, you have to bear in mind what was the driving force. For me, my money wasn't, or me acquiring money was never for my own reward. It was always for my parents, which is is another thing that drove me on to make those horrible choices or shitter choices, which to me, I didn't at the time look at them as bad choices.
No, and this by no means am I saying that you are the face of the evil capitalist business and things like that. It's just, I think that it's unrealistic to expect everyone in every position to be able to drive themselves to a point where you've got to, or even a fraction of what you've got to. A lot of people don't have, I accept that the drive is one of them, absolutely, but I think they don't have the backing either through financial. I know you didn't have a lot of finances when you started this, but I think you had a lot of good advice and emotional support from your dad.
My dad built this for the first 2 years.
Exactly, which I think is a rarity. Like if I was to rely on my dad, I would be probably dead. But if I wasn't dead, I'd be living in a literal shoebox somewhere. I think because and so I think that it's unrealistic to expect people to do that. I'm not saying that you're entirely wrong. I just think that the needle has gone too far away from a normal standard of living, let's say. Cool. And I am quite passionate about it because I see how much people struggle. A lot of people, you don't know their circumstances. For example, the reason I didn't go to uni or something, no one knows the story as to why I didn't go to uni. They don't need to know. But I didn't go, and that was a choice. Exactly. And I still feel to this day that it was the right choice. I could be earning 3 times what I earn now if I had gone to uni for what I wanted to do.
Of course.
But for several reasons, life didn't didn't present that opportunity to me in the end.
Of course.
And I chose not to pursue it.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not a driven individual. I think I am a driven individual.
Mm-hmm.
I think it shows in the progression. I started on literally the bottom rung of the ladder here. And not that there isn't a hierarchy here, but I would say that in this mythical realm of this ladder, I'm further up that ladder than,
Some others.
let's say, anyone else who joined at the same time I did.
Yep.
I think I'm not trying to sound big-headed, but I think that I am a driven individual. Now, yes, I am reaping some sort of rewards. I wouldn't say that those rewards are necessarily monetary until recently. Not that you've been bad to me at all. I'm not saying that. But, this climbing this financial ladder, yeah, I haven't done it. But I have obtained skills that I no longer had. So my value as a person is more.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel that if... With the opportunities that were presented to me post going to uni, so let's ignore going to uni because that was realistically never an option for me. Okay. Beyond that, I don't really know what more I could have done while maintaining being able to live, being able to afford whether it be rent or paying my parents to live at their house or whatever, or paying my way, let's say, where I could progress a lot further than where I am now, whether that be through monetary or through skill. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course I do. I have one real life example. Ryan. Now, again, this bit is very subjective, and I'm not saying that it's factual. If you work for another company, that if you put loads of extra hours in, you're going to be rewarded for it. I'm not claiming that every business owner is going to deliver you the righteous outcome, because now I can't take responsibility for other people's greed. But what I can say in terms of what I saw and what an individual did, Ryan, he literally took the lowest level kind of role that we had available at a very, very substandard pay, basically. And then he worked approximately 12 hours a day for 3 years without ever having the potential of a pay rise coming into play. He drove an increase of revenue for a business that he was employed by, which then allowed him to be paid more. I'm not saying that you should have done that, but I'm just highlighting that I didn't know he was going to do what he did either. This was not like a foreseen thing. I had no idea he was going to be able to do what he's actually done. But his actions, again, his choices and actions led the business to greater revenue, to greater profits, which then gave me the potential of paying more. So, I
see what you're saying.
He had no sort of family support around him in terms of a father figure or whatever. He had none of that kind of extra support, but he did have responsibility.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
I know, and this is the thing. Everyone needs to find their own reason or level of responsibility. Like, my parents are not my responsibility by definition. I made it so. I literally wanted to take on that pressure to say thank you. And that was all. And don't get me wrong, I never got given loads of stuff. I never had an incredible childhood from a material perspective.
No.
But I was given so much love that it's invaluable. And all I had to do was say, right, what have you missed out on in life, Mum and Dad? Because you've given me this start to existence. How can I now say thank you in the best way possible? And the only thing that I witnessed growing up was pain for not having access to funds so that they could have comfortable existences. I knew there was a series of choices that I could make, hopefully, that would drive that situation to a different place. And all I'm saying is I took the responsibility, and that became my fuel. Everyone needs to find what theirs is. I don't know what it is, and it's not going to be the same thing for them. I don't know any of my other friends that have got that same drive for that reason. Mine is very, very subjective to me and my upbringing, which is why it meant so much to push on, But, what I'm not trying to say here is that everybody in the world should set up companies and copy me. Don't do that. But find out what your interest is and push yourself to your limit within that. But what gives you satisfaction? If you do it just for money and then to have, say, a house that you own, that will never drive you happiness. Drive something that matters to you. If you can do that and you can get up every day and it means something, you're gonna be in a much better position. That's all I'm sure of. And again, you got to bear in mind from the bill perspective. When I was growing up, in the situation before there was a positive money lifestyle, that we could live with. You know, anything that did go up in price, granted, it meant my dad had to go back to the job centre to then try and find another job that he could apply for, or can the benefit system now increase what it provides for us so that I could have a nice standard of life? I understand that the system is expensive. I was in the poverty trap. Like, I'm not saying this from a point of you're fucking useless to the people that are stuck in it. I was in it. I'm part of it. And all I'm saying is take responsibility. I'm not saying that beat yourself up. I'm not saying that you failed. I'm not saying that anybody succeeded even. I don't think necessarily that the richest man on the planet is successful. Is he happy? Has he helped people? That for me is my definition of success. Have you tried to be a good human being? And it's, you know, that is my measurement of it. So I'm not in any way, shape or form saying that these energy price hikes are positives.
Oh,
in
yeah,
no
that's
way,
what
shape,
we were
or
talking about.
Yeah. All I'm getting at with this is that I don't see where a solution or a positive change will happen if you're pointing at the problem. If you start changing what you're doing to resolve the problem and accept the fact that some of the things you try and do aren't going to work, some of the things you try and do may be incredibly successful, but it's just being so adamant that you refuse another outcome. Being willing to get hit down and say, fuck me, that failed. Okay, you're going to give up or you're going to crack on? First e-liquid line we released cost me 80 grand, mate. The whole thing looked like a failure. I was like, shit, I've never spent this kind of money in my life. I never knew this money could ever exist in my life. All of a sudden, I'm putting £80,000 into a juice range thinking, I hope this has a positive impact on my customers, on the people that vape it. I hope they love it. And I hope that I can pay my staff more money off the back of it. Nearly fucking, if I had made a bigger financial investment, which would have been higher risk, which I chose not to do, then yes, it could have been detrimental, really fucking detrimental. But still, in that moment, I had a choice. Fuck, what do I do? Or, okay, that's the hand I've been dealt. What's the next set of actions that can get me out of that predicament? And it's just, I guess it's a mentality towards a problem, is what I'm really leading to, is really what I'm saying. Changing the mentality of what the issue is and how it can be resolved. It's just better to take responsibility and try shit, and then at least you can point the finger at yourself. That's easier to live with, I find, than you know, trying to find a solution out of your control.
What I will just clarify is that these energy hikes, yeah, they're going to impact me, but they're not. I'm not talking from a singular perspective.
Right.
I'm not saying that, oh my God, I can't afford to live. I can. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at it
like
a bit like you did a minute ago with the African fucking child poverty thing.
Yeah. What
is that the lowest earners in this society, be it through their own choices or be it through, like my mum, for example, I don't think. I mean, if you boil it down, if you went completely heartless with it, yes, it's through her own choices. They're not her own choices, realistically. She's found herself in a position where she has a set of skills, but the set of skills aren't that monetarily valuable.
Right.
I think they're very, very, very important skills, but society doesn't. So she is excellent at what she does.
Yeah.
She's in childcare. Just I'll give you that. She's fantastic at what she does. Unfortunately, it's not that financially viable in terms of rewarding. So I don't see how it's fair that when these big businesses are already earning an ungodly amount of money in terms of profit, that they can then be backed by the government to put the prices up that will affect my mum, who
is a
because this same society that is raising all these prices doesn't value her skill set as much as, say, someone who can make more money for them.
Sell stocks and shares.
Yeah, exactly. That she is then in a worse position simply because of that.
Of course.
That's what I do. Like I say, I'm fine. I will survive it. They could increase it by 50%, and it will cost me money, but I won't fall under the poverty line. It's the people where
my mum
exactly.
when she raised me and my brother, I understand. That's what I'm saying. I understand.
That's where I could, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. Is like I say, I'm not talking from a selfish perspective here. I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? It's not about that. It's about, you know, my mum specifically. She's sort of the yardstick I use for stuff like this. She's been not physically, but beaten down so many times in her life, and she keeps getting back up. And she's really, really inspirational in that. In that sense, because there's multiple times that I can remember where she could have just gone, do you know what, fuck this, and thrown her hands up in the air and that'll be that. But since the last thing that happened, she's sought sort of self-help. She's really tried to better herself, but annoyingly, everything she's done doesn't impact her financially. She's a much better person, I think. She would admit within herself.
Yeah.
She's a much more confident person. She's a lot more sure of herself. She's done a really good job. But unfortunately,
It hasn't helped finances.
it hasn't helped finances, and everything keeps getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I get very passionate about it, is because
It matters.
it is real to me,
Yeah.
even if it's not me that's specifically getting impacted by it.
Yeah, mate.
And it's just, that's why I get, and I know that choices could have been made. She could, set up her own business and things like that. It's not a reality for a lot of people. And, she doesn't have the financial backing. She gets no help, basically. She gets a little bit of money, but not anywhere near what she deserves.
No.
And I just think it's an unfair system set up for people like her to fail.
You highlighted a really good point there. Good people deserve more. And in a society that is driven by money and capital, they deserve more capital. If that's the measuring thing that we're using, I couldn't agree more. Like, for example, I hate the fact, it fucking drives me insane, that there are stockbrokers, that there are even fucking car dealership owners, whatever, that are making multi-millions a year for, quite frankly, something that doesn't help society. There are ways in which it does, and I'm not going to go through every pro and con, but I believed, again, emotionally, which is the predicament, that my mum deserved to be one of the wealthiest human beings on planet Earth, because all she showed was love and care and compassion. That's value. That's true value. So you can't measure it with money. And that's the conundrum. I believe that all police officers, doctors, fire people, whatever, public servants, basically, they should be the highest paid in society. They're the people that are the glue for this society in the UK. If you don't reward them luxuriously with finances, the measuring stick, then of course you're going to get less people interested in doing it, which is why you've now got this fucking generation from, my generation, I guess the next two, that want to try and make as much money as possible, regardless if it's the right thing for society. So there's going to be a huge shift. We're experiencing a shift as young adults that don't really know why they're in the middle of what they're in the middle of. You've got to try and make sense of everything. But it's trying to, if you remove the emotions for a moment, I promise it helps. I promise. That's all really I'm getting at. I know I sound emotional when I'm sort of like being aggressive or quite harsh to the the Gen X and the Gen Zs that are like, I can't afford it, I can't do this. And I'm in my head, it's like, have you looked at everything you're doing? I think once you do that and you genuinely can honestly look in the mirror and say, I've tried everything. I've reduced all my spends. I've put way more learning and effort into becoming either healthier or, say, wiser. If you're gaining knowledge, you can then use that as a way of getting more pay. Like it's when you've done everything and still you've got no further, then I give you the time of day. Then I give you that, right, how can I now help you? Because you deserve it. Do you see what I mean? When your cards don't fall right after putting max effort in, there are good human beings in the world that will try and make it right. Like, at least that's... I don't view myself as a good human being, but I know I want to help those that deserve it. And seeing people put effort in, I want them rewarded. So, but you can't take accountability for every human being. It's another conundrum again. I actually, this is the insanity part of my brain. If I put max effort in and worked 14 hours a day, but had the right diet and healthy living routine, I believe I could probably help a way, way greater number of people. But I then have another moment where I think, why am I torturing myself? In some extent, I know I take pride in it and I take a lot of satisfaction out of doing it, but it is painful, mate. Like, it fucking hurts regularly. Trying to do the right thing for every individual, it's extremely draining. Like, really, really draining. But I love it, and I guess it's because I've just had that. I've put that responsibility on me to try and do it. But so I just want to say, I'm not trying to attack people when I say these things. I guess I feel slightly, maybe unnecessarily hard done by, in the fact that I've taken the responsibility on when it doesn't exist, and I'm to blame now. I'm not pointing at anybody but me, because I wanted to try and, I stupidly have this sense of confidence and belief that I can make a difference. Now that's right, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's just my belief. I think I can. I don't know to what degree and extent, But while I do believe I can make a difference, I'll keep trying to.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? But that's where I get frustrated when I hear about I can't do it. I guess that's really what I've just discovered about myself. I get frustrated hearing I can't. I mean, Brad will tell you this, the chap that lives with me. I basically broke his brain because I saw the way it created defense mechanisms to protect himself in a moment. But those defense mechanisms were hindering his future. They protected his pride and his integrity in the moment, but actually it was just damaging him long term. So I had to try and say, look, mate, let's rewire this. Let's rework it until it becomes a benefit for you to think in a certain way. But yeah, we've gone so off-piste and tangents, but I think this is substance. Yeah. What we've just had as a conversation and what you've got the opportunity to witness is two individuals that are alive, probably in your fucking position. Between the two of us, there's so many aspects of our existence that would fit with your lives. And you've just seen two people that care about the same matter. We actually both care for the same outcome. That those that are good in society deserve to be rewarded more and shouldn't be punished with fucking increased electricity bills. I get it. You know, we're all on board for the same thing. I'm just looking at it from an alternative perspective of you go up and make the change, no matter how hard it is. And you're coming at the perspective of, yeah, but the government should be assisting. And they should. They should. But this is why I don't agree with politics, why I don't vote. Because I know they won't try and help me. I know they don't know. They don't know who the fuck I am. My name's on a database and my details on a database, but the government don't care.
They fucking know when I owe them money.
Indeed.
Should we talk about some teddy bears quickly?
Yes, we shall.
Now, you may have noticed these fluffy little beings over my right shoulder. And these are one of our new ventures.
Yeah.
I'll get one. This is a cheeky chappy. I'm currently strangling him, but that's not the point. This is a cheeky chappy. These are adult-themed teddy bears, let's say, where they have different slogans on them, which at a distance look very cuddly, very cute, but then you walk up and they say something abhorrent. So, not really. They're not that abhorrent. But, yeah, so these are available on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, TikTok.
On TikTok as well. Search for Cheeky Chappies. I is spelled CHAPPIES.
Yeah.
As someone I told the other day spelt it wrong.
Yeah. Just a little bit behind why this is good. And it's like, I know this is very silly, but I think a perspective that's relevant here is why do we create what we create? And this was a genuine idea of somebody within this business that thought they would like to create a better gift for loved ones, partners, friends, family, whatever. And, okay, don't give this one to your mother because it says want to ride bareback, BEAR. But the point being, we saw the Me to You bears, the nice little I love you teddy bears, and we thought, but society is a lot more crass than that. Society generally actually likes banter. So we tried to basically create a present that lasts longer than a bloody box of chocolates or some flowers and actually can bring somebody a smile. That's why this brand exists. So again, I'm not just investing in things that can just make us more money. There has to be more to it than that with anything we ever do. And it's either more because I want to try and say that someone's idea deserves a platform, or it's more because I believe that the people will benefit because of it. And this genuinely, it might sound proper fucking cheesy and cliche, but I think this has more substance as a gift than someone who goes to a petrol station and just grabs flowers and a box of chocolates. So, and me, by the way, yeah. But now I've created something that I can now give to people that I care about. Well, I say I've created it. I haven't. The guys have. Taylor's done the amazing designs on the tags.
And I designed the teddy bears.
Oh, you actually did?
I did, yeah. No, the actual bears. So these are actually custom bears. They're not just
off the shelf.
Yeah, they're not off the shelves. We actually designed every aspect of these, down to like the fur, the eye placement, the patches on the feet. It was all things that me and Damo designed. Well, I designed them. He came up with the ideas. So yeah, more than the tag. Thank you.
But the point being, this is not a 2-minute job. I think a lot of people just hear about drop shippers on TikTok and fucking Instagram and go, oh, everyone's just drop shipping. Well, no.
We're not that sensible.
We don't know. We tried drop shipping. Fuck me, it's shit. So at least with this, you can come up with an idea. You can create something that's actually of value and hopefully brings a smile. You know, not everybody's going to want these things. I get that. But same with the Me to You bears. So here we are. There's Cheeky Chappies. Give us a like, give us a follow. Got some really cool content on TikTok. If you want to see some cool AI videos that we're creating. Well done, Gabby. big well done. And yeah, cheeky bloody chappies. Cool. Thank you.
Toodles. Bye.